The Arizona Wildcat fans excited to hear from head coach Rich Rodriguez. He joins us on his class in recruiting in general for a couple of minutes. I have to ask you right off the top, the national story today, Rich, about Alex Collins, the running back who wants to sign with Arkansas, whose mom took the letter and ran off. Have you heard this type of stuff before in recruiting?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. It's not a lot, but I think there are some times where the son wants to go somewhere and with a parent or guardian prefers not, and it doesn't get resolved. And a lot of times with that, the best issue is not to sign. It's just the first day to sign, not the last day to sign. And so until everybody's on the same page, you're better off just waiting and making sure everybody's on the same page.
How do you read parents when you're recruiting a kid?
Well, normally you get involved and understand that relationship way before signing day. That's why you don't see it very often. But and of course, most parents generally have their son's best interests at heart, but sometimes they are conflicted and they are confused a little bit. And so as coaches, you got to do all you can, your due diligence, to make sure everybody understands exactly what's going on and that they make a best decision for the son.
Does it come down to mom usually?
Well, whoever the decision maker is, and sometimes it's mom, sometimes it's dad, so sometimes it's both, and sometimes it's a coach or somebody else involved. And so it's finding out the key decision or helping who's making the decision maker is important. But that's a multifaceted aspect. I mean, it takes a little bit of time to do that, and certainly coaches that do a good job in recruiting find that out very early.
Rich Rodriguez with us for a couple of minutes, because I think the perception is you see a kid, you see him on film, you meet him, you meet the parents, you talk about what's going on at the university, he either signs or doesn't, and it's all over with. And that could be the furthest from the truth when it comes down to the hours that you have to put into each one of these kids.
Well, you're right, Brad, and it's so much you hear about relationships, and that's really true, because when most kids visit, they'll look at the facilities, they'll look at tradition, they'll look at the league they play and all that, but they also look very closely on how comfortable they feel at that university or with that coaching staff. And being comfortable is a big thing you hear about a lot of recruits talking about, that, hey, I liked everything, but I also want to be comfortable with that staff and with that program. And so as a coach, particularly the assistant coaches, they do the bulk of the work of making sure they feel that way.
He is Rich Rodriguez. He joins us for a couple of minutes, day after National Letter of Intent Day. Okay, your class, you add a couple of quarterbacks that have Wildcat fans excited. Let's start with Jesse Scroggins.
Yeah, Jesse's an interesting story. He signed at USC a few years ago, was an early commit to them. Then he went to junior college, and I think he's really grown up and matured in the last couple of years, and he's hungry to prove himself. He knows that he has an opportunity here to compete, and that's all that's been promised to him, just an opportunity to compete. And he'll miss a little bit of spring practice with a foot injury that we knew he had coming in that we're getting fixed, but he's a strong-armed guy, and I think he's very, very hungry to prove himself, and that's an important quality.
He wasn't the only quarterback you brought in, though.
No, we brought in a new Solomon, who's maybe one of the winningest high school quarterbacks in history. 56-4, 4 state championships out of Las Vegas, and a tough, competitive guy that can make all the throws. Really, really excited about him. And then we got another athlete as well, Kari McGee out of Fresno, California, that can play a multitude of positions, but is also very, very talented at the quarterback spot. So we're going to have quality competition in that position for years to come.
How did you feel you did in-state, Rich?
Felt pretty good. I think we signed 5 in-state guys, and then we're going to have, we think, 8 or 9 very, very good football players that possibly will walk on here as well. And so we feel very good about it. But, we're greedy. We want all the best players in the state to come, and we're going to keep working hard toward that, because there's very, very good, outstanding football and outstanding football programs in the state of Arizona. And so it was a good start in this class, and then I think the class of 2014 has a lot of great players in the state of Arizona.
You also went heavy into San Diego, it looks like. You've got some recruiting pipelines there.
We do. We've had some ties in there in the past, and then Rod Smith, all my staff, my quarterback coach, does an outstanding job recruiting, and there's a big, huge U of A presence in San Diego. There's a lot of our folks that live there and are in the community, so we were very fortunate. I think a lot of it, these guys, that they knew each other and they wanted to play together in college, and it worked out pretty well.
What did you not get what? I mean, I'm not talking about specific players, but specific positions you look at and you say, we're still a little light in this area.
Well, we need to address a lot of areas, as you can imagine, but we're particularly on the back end and defense, and it's a safety position. So we still have a spot or two available. If we can find or if we can have a safety position filled in the next couple of weeks, a guy that we think is a quality player that can help us, we'll continue to recruit that.
Rich Rodriguez with us. Is there a player in this class that you feel like, everybody wants to talk quarterbacks, and I could run through each kid one by one, but I think that would just put people to sleep, quite honestly.
And me too.
Yeah, right. But if there's a player that you look at that you say, okay, I'm really excited about what we got in this young man coming to Tucson.
Well, that's a fair question. It's kind of hard. It's like having two kids, a son and a daughter. Which kid do you love the most? You love them as much as you can, equally. But I do think we have a few guys at the linebacker position that maybe not a lot of people know about that we're really excited about. Our linebackers that we signed in Scooby Ride and Ryan Dunn, big DeAndre Miller from here in Buckeye, Arizona, Derek Turaturi that we signed. Those four or five linebackers we signed in this class, it might have been under the radar for some folks, but we think they feel an immediate need. They're big physical guys that love to play football, and I think all of them are going to have great futures here.
Rich, stay well. Appreciate the time as always. Thanks.
I appreciate it, Brad.